Hey, I'm Rob from JestaThaRogue.com and I'm going to show you how to play ISS Vanguard, spoiler free. Now if you watch this video because you want to know how to play the game, I could save you some time. The rulebook has a great tutorial. It holds your hand through several turns and teaches you all the rules as you go. So you don't need this video, but before you leave, do subscribe as a thank you. If you're still with us, let's roll the credits and see what we're going to do. So when this game arrived from Kickstarter 2 or 3 years ago, I played through the tutorial, played a couple of missions, and I was really enjoying the game, but then I had to put it down and sort of didn't come back to it for a few weeks. By the time I did want to come back to it, I'd forgotten how to play. So this video is as much for me as it is for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the tutorial, I'm going to relearn the game, and I'm going to record a video of it as I go, and hopefully it'll end up with a nice little edited video that'll be useful for more than just me. So the first thing you have to do is sort all the cards out, which I've done. I've reset my game back to how it was when I got it. There's all the cards in the box ready. Next thing is to sort out the ship book, which I have done as well. Reset it back. This is putting cards in these pouches that the ship book is full of in this nice little folder. So as you can see, there are 4 specialised sections in the game: engineering, recon, science and security. And depending on the number of players, depends how many of each the players will control, but all 4 sections will be used every game. And you can see it says it's not required to have the same number of players or even the same players each time you play. So there you go, this is the tutorial. The estimated play time is 3 to 4 hours, says to play with 1 player, which is recommended. And yeah, let's get started with this. So I did say this is going to be spoiler free, and it will be. I'm not going to go into the story and what I'm doing. I'm going to show examples from the game, but I'm not going to go into too much detail and explain more than I need to in order to get the rules of the game across. So this does have a logbook you can read if you want to. I'm going to use the app, so I'm going to select ISS Vanguard and then select the name of the game. I've just deleted my old one. So operations are sort of one-shot scenarios that you can play. And I'm going to select campaign and operations. And yes, I want to play the tutorial.
Good morning, crew. If you're hearing this, it means you belong to a small group of essential personnel waking up in the first wave.
Yeah, and then it says follow the setup instructions for the tutorial on page 11 of the rulebook. So the first thing to do is to get these components and get them out on the table, which, to be honest, is not far from being much everything in the box. So then you go all the way down here, it says go to log 1. You can use the logbook, or you can just type 1 in here and click next, and you're through. So then it says continue the prepare the away team instructions on page 12 of the rulebook. And the first part of that is getting the crew from the tutorial deck. So the crew cards are in these deck protectors that show you which section they belong to and what rank they are. So it shows you on the deck protector printed on there. And for the first mission, for 1 player, it says to take 2 of the crew with you, and Amir has to be in the tutorial, so I'm taking Amir. I'm going to take Riku to escort him. So the 2 crew cards I'm not using, I'll put them back in the box. There's a little resting crew section, which is quite cute for them to rest in. And then you take the card, you put them on their section board, and then you find a mini. There's 8 minis. It doesn't matter which one you use, but you put the relevant colour ring on them to denote which one's which. So it says to read log 5, which I've done, not going to spoil that. Then it says to prepare the section dice and section cards. So what you do is you get the dice for the different people, and it shows you in the book which one they need and also which orientation they need to be on the board. Now there's a few things about the dice. One is they are slightly different, so not all the blue dice are the same, they've got different sides. These pips in the corners show you what the most likely, the most common side on that die is. So in the case of this one, it is this DNA sort of helix symbol here. And each of the sections has a little tutorial deck of cards, just 3 cards in it. So we've got 1 in the section deck for Riku, and here 2 cards in hand, backup plan and endurance. And we've got the same for Amir, we've got 1 in the discard pile, draw deck, and then we've got improvised treatment and trial and error. Okay, the next step is to set up the planet board, which is the Planetopedia folded flat, and you've got all the different locations on the board. When you move to them, like it says, go to log 311, you just read or activate log 311 in the app. Some of them are printed on the board. You can see the minis are given their starting space. Up here you have the rank up card, which is a little bonus goal to complete to be able to rank up your crew. Some points of interest and injury cards also put to one side. There's a unique discovery card here that is face down because we haven't discovered it yet, so we'll find out what that is if we discover it. We have the mission card, which is face down. It should be face up, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'll read that later. And finally, each player has a turn available token, which you can flip over when they've ended their turn. And Amir is the start player. So on a player's turn, they have 2 actions. You can see you've got this nice handy token that's going to be good for tracking how many actions they've got left. That's particularly good when you're playing solo. And the actions are travel, rest, prepare, lift off, and a special action that you can use once per turn. So it's Amir's first action. He's stuck in this twisted wreckage, so we need to get him out of there. But there's three things we need to look at on this point of interest that he's on. So the first thing is this symbol here. That means you can't move. So this is blocked. So that is blocked, so we can't move out of there. So we're going to take this action instead. This arrow here indicates it's a special action. And then these two dice here, if I can zoom in, means it is a dice roll is required. So we look at this special action. It shows here the symbols needed to do it. You need either this arm thing, this shield thing, or this compass thing. Now, Amir doesn't have any of those dice. Riku does. Riku has the shield and arm, but unfortunately Riku isn't there. Amir is. So anything in green, like this row here, will tell you what you get if you succeed, and in red is what you get if you fail. But in this case, this red arrow here means once you've resolved failure, you'll then also resolve the green success anyway straight afterwards. So we're going to roll some dice and see what we get. And the reason we'd roll dice anyway is because this is the Vanguard symbol, and this is sort of a wild card and can be whatever you want it to be. So you don't actually roll the dice in your tutorial. It tells you which sides to set the dice to for now. So these are the sides that I got, which means I fail. But this is interesting. This is this exclamation mark symbol. This is the accident symbol, and that can occur sometimes with some locations such as this one here. Look, you can see under save the supplies, if you roll the exclamation mark danger accident icon, then you would activate whatever that is there, but we haven't got one on this location, so we don't need to worry about it for now. Oh, and this blue icon is called the basic icon, and it's on most of the dice. So when doing a dice check, step 1 is to choose the dice from your board, which dice you're going to use. Step 2 is to add any injury or danger dice if you've got any. We don't need to worry about that at this point. Step 3 is to roll the dice. And step 4 is to modify your result. And this is where you can use things that we're going to, as the tutorial suggests, to use this trial and error card, which says, during the dice check, move one of any those 3 coloured dice from the roll pool to the owner's spent pool to turn one dice to the chosen result. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this one. We're going to put it in our spent pool here. And then we're going to pick this side, whichever one we want. We're going to pick that one, which is a wild card, obviously, so it counts as any one of those 3 symbols, which means we passed the check. And then, of course, the play card is placed in the discard pile. And then the final 3 steps, check for dice combinations, resolve injury and danger dice, and resolve for special effects, can be skipped on this check because it doesn't happen. And then what you do is you go from top to bottom on this left-hand side and see which of these you can complete. Obviously, there's only one here, but there are 2 here that you can complete. So you could try the top one, then the bottom one. And what you do is you place a marker on those that you complete, and of course you put any dice that you spent into the spent dice area. And then you gain the reward, which is to gain 1 success token, which are these up here. Then it says to replace this card with P101. That's the point of interest cards up here. I'm not going to show that. That'll be a spoiler. So that was Amir's first action. Obviously, he's forced the bulkhead open. I'm going to keep that point of interest card face down so you can't see it. But all you need to know is that now that symbol that stops you moving has now gone because it's been covered up, which means you can now move. And movement is done via these arrows. You follow the arrows. This is basically just to move one of your available dice into your spent pool. That's all that is. But this one involves you looking at the global condition, which is in the bottom right corner here. And currently, it just says you have unlimited supplies. It says to travel, either spend a die or roll the danger die to move to a connected sector. Now the danger die, there's a danger die reference cards because, if I can find one, there's a big one over here. Big T in the middle of the die. That is actually showing you which danger die you're going to be using, and it's down here for the tutorial. So you either gain just the scratch injury card or you spend a die. So there's very little risk in this tutorial. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to roll the danger die. And the result was blank, so nothing happens. If I happen to roll a side that isn't on the danger die reference card for the danger die that you're rolling, and if it doesn't show up, if the side you roll isn't on there, then you just ignore it. Then, of course, you will move them across and do what it says on the next card. In this case, it says go to log 227. Okay, let's place the point of interest card, which I'm keeping face down. But something else to look at as well is because this arrow comes this way, it means you can move from section 6 to section 5 because the arrow is pointing that way. But you can't move from section 5 to section 6 because that doesn't have an arrow. So that's something to look out for. Also, it says here, when you've taken your 2 actions, you flip over your token. It says draw an event and the turn is ended. We're not looking at events yet at this point of the tutorial, so we'll continue on with the next turn. So for Riku's first action, they're going to take this, they've got this marker marker again so they can't move, so they're going to take this save the supplies action. This one's slightly different to the one we had that's obviously not there anymore for Emir, but basically what you do is you choose the amount of dice you want to roll, you roll them, and then for every success you basically put one of these cubes on, so that'd be 1 success, and then 2, 3. When you get 4, you will have completed that and you'll get whatever's in the green line here. But here we have the accident symbol again, and that is the red, that red sort of play button means you will move another cube on this red track, and if the red track gets to the end, then you will have to spend a die to roll the incident die, which is of course bad. But then any other die there, as you can see from this symbol, any other die moves the green track forward. Now I've rolled all 5 dice. I basically didn't roll any accidents. I've got 5 successes, so that is enough to complete that. So now I will gain a success token and replace this card with point of interest 102. Woo! Something to remember about these tracks as well is they do save their state from turn to turn. So if Riku had only got 2, for example, then on their next turn they could try again and maybe get some more to try and fill that track up. Or if somebody else is on that space, they can then try and roll the dice to try and complete the track as well. Also, something else important about these tracks is that as these are resolved from top to bottom, so if both of these tracks got completed at the same time, for example, you resolve these top to bottom. So this one says gain a success token and then replace with card 102. So if you completed both these tracks at the same time, you'd do the top one, that would put 102 on there, obviously face up. But then now that red track doesn't exist, which means you don't have to resolve it. So if that's ever important, that works like that. And the final thing on skill checks that's come up as a rule but hasn't come up in the tutorial itself is that if you have a crew member in your region, in your space, they can assist you by adding one of their dice to the dice pool that you will roll. You roll it separately so you can give it them back, but it will count towards the results for your action. Also, they can use up to 1 of their section cards to help you out as well. So nice teamwork in spaces there. Okay, that is Riku's first action. They have 1 action left, and as you can see, I've used all 5 dice. There are no dice available. So the next action is to rest, and on the game reference card it says to rest, reduce the supplies track on your lander by 1. If there are no supplies, you cannot rest. Well, in the tutorial we have unlimited supplies, so we don't need to worry about that for now. Then it says refresh half of the total number of dice available and in spent rounded up. So we've got 5. So we're going to refresh 3, that's half rounded up. And it says to put them in with those things in the corner so you know what the dice is. Another way you can rest, but we're not going to do this in the tutorial, is exertion, where you lose a dice permanently to refresh 5 dice. But we're not going to do that just yet. And the final thing I missed there from the rest action is you draw 1 section card from your deck. If your deck runs out, you shuffle your discard pile into a new deck. But that is the turn over for Riku. We don't draw an event card in the tutorial. Turn ended, and now we go to round end. So that's a full round of the game, and that is the end of the guided tutorial. Now I'm going to play through the rest of the tutorial on my own, but there are a few things I just want to cover first. At the start of the round, you choose the start player, and you'll go clockwise from them. Each character has a convert ability. For example, Amir's is if you roll a basic symbol on a blue die, you can convert it to this, whatever that is, symbol. And Riku's is if you roll a basic symbol on a red die, you can convert it to that nice little spanner icon. So there are some that have immediate special effects that have this little symbol here, like this example where it says if you roll no shield icons in your pool, you resolve the red special effect, and so look out for those. Some have multiple special actions you can take, so here you choose which one you're going to take, you decide before you roll the dice, obviously. Then others have bonus outcomes, so for here, if you roll 3 dice, you get this green reward here, but if you happen to roll one of these 3 symbols as well, you would, obviously you go top to bottom, so you would gain this line first, but then because there's the orange arrow, you would do this, gain the success token, and then move down and gain unique discovery 1, replace with card P000. So that's how those work. So this ability at the bottom of a section card is called a dice combination. You can see this one's got 2 basic symbols. It says refresh 3 dice. So when you do a dice check, you can do just that. So I've got 2 basic symbols here. I've got 2 basic symbols here. You will take them, put them in your spent dice pool, and then you will do what it says there, refresh 3 dice. And they all have different abilities and different requirements on the bottom. But because you've spent those dice, they cannot be used now for the test that you were making. You also can't use them to activate any other section cards. So once they're spent for this ability, they're spent, but that's what that is there. And that's pretty much it for the tutorial side, for this sort of away mission exploration side of the game. There are some other bits to do. There's about 3 pages of rules after the tutorial that shows you bits that you will need within the game, but I can't show you because it'll kind of spoil the way the story goes, and obviously your branching path might be different to mine. But it'll show you some logbook entries that you can read or listen to when you get to those. And then at the end of the tutorial, there's a bit of tutorial cleanup. So basically any card that's from the tutorial, pretty much every card from the tutorial, will be put somewhere or will be removed from the game. Most of them are removed from the game. Then you can upgrade your crew, the crew members that took part. You change their debt protector to upgrade them to level 2. And then you can buy dice. So this is using your success tokens to buy new dice. It costs 1 success token per die that each member has. So as they all start with 5 dice, it costs 5 success tokens and you get to add 1 die to each sector, so all the sectors are staying with the same number of dice. Okay, before we go to the ship management phase, there was a few things to do at the end of the tutorial, most of which will be fairly spoilery, because it's where you put in cards and stuff that you may or may not have found during that tutorial mission. It'll tell you all what to do, it's very straightforward. But the one fun thing you get to do is you get a draft, each section gets to draft a new recruit, and they get put in a level 1 debt protector, so you've got some more people to choose from going forward, so that's cool. Basically, the start of the ship phase is very easy. So you just open the book. It tells you what to do here if you are resuming from a save game. And then it just says, go to page 2, the bridge. You turn over to page 2, and then just follow all these step by step. And the main ones at the moment are here, which is to gain command tokens and energy tokens, which are here. So I get 2 command tokens because the current objective says 2, and the current tech level says you get 3. And they go here along with your success tokens, and we're going to use those shortly. But basically there's just 6 steps here and you just follow them. Even the 6th step is just to go to the next page. Another thing in this step is you'll be given a situation card, which is something you need to deal with during this step. If you deal with it, then you get a positive effect normally. If you don't deal with it, you'll get a negative effect. But either way, it's just giving you something else to think about during this step. So the next step is to use the star map, where you're going to use the systems map, and it will allow you to navigate around the system spending your energy tokens, but also you could scan planets that you're going to land on. So we're going to take this one as an example. I'm not going to show the other side obviously, but this is the cost. So this first cost is 0 energy if you want to scan it, so it costs 0, so you move it up to the next cost, and then it'll cost you 1 energy, and then the next you move it again, it'll cost more energy to get some more information. But on the back of this card that I'm obviously not going to show you, it's telling you information about what's on that planet, what you can expect, giving you some suggestions, the type of crew to take and stuff. It's very interesting and a lot of fun. Wish I could show you, but I'm not going to. You can discover that for yourself. I should say as well, you can spend available crew to reduce that energy cost when you're scanning planets, but then those crew are not available to you for your next away mission. So the next step in the book is the ship facility step, where you use your tokens here to go to these different facilities in the ship, and you just do what you need to do. Then you come back to this space and you keep going till you've spent all your tokens or you're done. Now you can do whatever you want here. It's in the tutorial, it's suggested that you go to the barracks and the production complex, so I'm going to do that now. So here we are at the barracks, and this allows you to train and gain new recruits. So the first one is to transfer or dismiss crew members, so you can swap them between sections, but if they are already level 2 or level 3, they will lose a rank when they switch. You can also train recruits to upgrade them, but I'm here for this. This is to draft new recruits, so I'm going to draw 5 cards. It could be more if morale was high, but it's not, it's average. So I'm going to draw 5 recruits, and every section is going to draft 1, and they're going to all get a new level 1 recruit. Okay, the production complex is also fairly straightforward. Again, just a few steps to follow, and the first one is to gain new production products and install production upgrades. These are cards that you'll get from missions, I believe, and they go into this slot up here, so they'll go in there. Step 3 is to progress current projects. So if we look at our current projects again, back on this page, you'll see that here this one has 20%, it's stage 1 20%, stage 2 60%, stage 3 90%. And you would move each one of these one step to the right, and when they get out to here, they become available for you to use. You'll flip them over and see what you get. So that's to progress those. Then you can start new ones. So ones that are here, this is what I've done already. These are the 4 you basically start with, and I've moved them all. They say to, I hope I've done this right, but they do say, if I can just lift this one up, starting at stage 2. This one starts at stage 1, this one starts at stage 3, this one also starts at stage 2. So I'm assuming, I think I can do that and put them all in and get them going. They'll all move across one space next turn. I hope I'm doing that right. I believe so, but then that's what I've done. So I've got these started, and when they get out of here, Next time I activate this, they'll all move one slot right, this one will move out to here, and I'll get whatever's on the back of it, which is cool. And then the other thing is just to start new products, and you can boost production, which I didn't actually just read until just now. So what you can do, it says up here, look, boost any icon, boost those two icons. And if their convert icon on any of your available crew matches any of these symbols, you can move them all, you can spend these to move them all right. So I'm going to spend this one because it's any icon. I'm going to get rid of good old Lena Freeman, a new recruit. I'm going to put them in the resting crew. I'm going to move this across. I'm not going to flip it over to spoil it, but I'm going to do that now. Finally, step 6 is just to go back to the ship book. It's important to note that when you're boosting with crew members that way, they do go from your available crew to your resting crew, and you need to have at least one of each of the sections, one crew from each of the sections left, so at least 4, one from each section left, so you've got enough to go on the next away mission, so you can't spend more than that. Look through the other areas, so the research lab is similar to the production lab. It's going to let you research projects, and you're going to put them in these slots, and then you're going to be able to find these symbols on different things that you've discovered, and once you've got that, you can then discover them and you get them, and that's great. And then you can boost research again with crew members, and that's that. The situation room is where you go to resolve the situation. Whoever's playing as the security gets to resolve that, and you can use crew to bump it again. I've got one of those lingering and I haven't got enough action tokens to resolve it, so I'll get a penalty from that, and we'll see what happens later on. And the hangar lets you install, repair and customize your landers. I've still got the Space Ranger, the basic one there, but there's other different things you can do, including having a lot of mods for your lander. And that's it. You just now go to your next mission and you continue. You've got the away mission with your dice, where you're using your dice to do all your actions, and then you come back and you go to the ship book and you follow the ship book in order. It tells you exactly what to do. It's a very simple game to play. I'm really excited to see where the story goes. Let me know what you think of this style of video, because there are other games that I could do this style of video for. Before I did one for Archives, and that seemed to go down quite well, which is why I've done one for ISS Vanguard as well. Even though it is a couple of years old and it's been sat on my shelf for a while, I just had the second lot of the Kickstarter come. That's why I'm kicking it back up, because I'm keen to get it all played. Remember to like, share, subscribe and all that good stuff, and hopefully I will see you soon.